3.4 Prokaryotic cells. Earlier in this lesson, we distinguished between eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells. Eukaryotic cells have a distinct nucleus that's bounded by a membranous nuclear envelope. Also, inside eukaryotic cells, there are a number of membrane bound organelles: the endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi, the mitochondria, the chloroplast. Numerous vesicles contain and transport materials. Prokaryotic cells lack all of these things. There is no distinct nucleus, and there are also no membranous organelles. In this diagram, we see a generalized prokaryotic cell. This is a single-celled bacteria. If we look in the middle, there is no nucleus. There is a region which is called a nucleoid, which contains the bacterial DNA. It has a single circular double-stranded DNA chromosome. It's kind of wadded up and coiled, and it's found in this area called the nucleoid. There are none of the organelles that we saw in the typical eukaryotic, either the plant or the animal cell. Bacteria do have ribosomes. Their ribosomes are a little bit smaller and a little different structure than a eukaryotic ribosome, but this is still the site of protein synthesis. If we move out, we can see the plasma membrane that is detected there. Very similar function to the plasma membrane of the eukaryotic cell. But in addition, prokaryotes have a cell wall. Now, we saw a cell wall in plants, but the bacterial cell wall is very different. It's made of a material which is called peptidoglycan, which is a complex polysaccharide which is cross-linked with peptide protein chains, uh, distinct found only in prokaryotes. Outside the cell wall, there can be a capsule. This is a gel-like or a slime coating that's present in some bacteria. They may have a flagella. If the flagella is present, it rotates like a propeller and pushes the bacterial forward and allows them to swim. So these are really much structurally simpler cells than the eukaryotic cell. There are some other bacteria which are called cyanobacteria. These are also prokaryotes. If you look at the structure, they have the nucleoid, they have the plasma membrane, they have a cell wall, ribosomes. Now, what these organisms have, they don't actually have a chloroplast, but they do have a thylakoid membrane, and this does contain some photosynthetic pigments which allow these organisms to carry out photosynthesis. These are also prokaryotes. If we look back at the fossil record, we believe that the first cells were, in fact, prokaryotic cells, simple bacteria and archaea cells, and that eukaryotic cells evolved from prokaryotic cells. One of the first things that may have happened, there may have been some invagination of the plasma membrane that surrounded the DNA. This created the nuclear envelope, and so these cells now had a nucleus. Um, and then a theory called the endosymbiotic theory suggests that larger cells may have engulfed smaller cells, and this may have given rise to the mitochondria, or in other cases to the chloroplast. Now, some of the reasons that we think this, uh, if a small aerobic heterotrophic bacteria was engulfed, that would result in a structure that had a double membrane, similar to the mitochondria. Also, if we look at the structure of the mitochondria, we see that it does have the double membrane. Mitochondria also have their own DNA, and they have their own ribosomes, which are similar to those that we see in prokaryotic cells. Likewise, larger cells, after possibly forming a nuclear envelope, may have engulfed some of the cyanobacteria, and this would have given rise to the double membraned chloroplast. And so it is possible that through this endosymbiosis, uh, prokaryotic cells could have evolved into both animal or plant cells.